Hello, children. I'm Vicky Carlton. I love reading stories, especially Bible stories. And as we're getting close to Easter, I want to read you another story about Easter. This story is retold from the Bible. It's retold in the Jesus Storybook Bible by Sally Lloyd Jones. And it's called A Dark Night in the Garden. Now, you can see behind me a very dark garden with lots and lots of beautiful stars up in the sky. Sometimes I love to go out into my garden at night and just stand there and look at the stars. Sometimes I sit out there with my husband and we eat outside too, out in the garden. But this is about a very special night in a garden, and it's rather a sad night. And this happens just after the Last Supper. The moon was shining, and the wind was picking up now, blowing clouds across the moon, and the garden was in darkness. Stay up with me, Jesus asked his friends, because his friends had followed him out from the Last Supper into this special garden called the Garden of Gethsemane. And you can still go there if you go to Jerusalem today. Very beautiful garden with lots of olive trees. So Jesus asked his friends, please stay awake with me, because Jesus was feeling a bit lonely and he's feeling a bit sad because he knew what was going to happen to him. But his friends were tired and soon they fell asleep. Jesus was by himself. Jesus walked ahead alone into the dark. He needed to talk to his heavenly Father. He knew that it was time for him to die. They had planned it a long time ago, he and his Father. Jesus was going to take the punishment for all the wrong things anybody had ever done or would ever do. And there you can see Jesus praying to his Father, praying to God, and you can see the disciples are flat out asleep. Papa, Father, Jesus cried, and he fell to the ground. Is there any other way to get your children back, to heal their hearts, to get rid of the poison? But Jesus knew there was no other way. All the poison of sin was going to have to go into his own heart. God was going to pour into Jesus's heart all the sadness and brokenness in people's hearts. He was going to pour into Jesus's body all the sicknesses in people's bodies. He was going to have to blame his son for everything that had gone wrong. It would crush Jesus. But there was something else, something even more horrible. When people ran away from God, they lost God. It was what happened when they ran away. Not being close to God was like a punishment. Jesus was going to take that punishment. Jesus knew what that meant. He was going to lose his Father, and that Jesus knew would break his heart in two. Violent sobs shook Jesus's whole body. Then Jesus was quiet, like a lamb. I trust you, Papa, he said. Whatever you say, I will do. Suddenly, through the trees, a glitter of starlight flashed off steel. Into the quiet garden came whispers, muffled voices, clanking metal, and the sound of boots marching. Jesus stood up. He woke his friends. Now is the time, he said gently. Everything that was written about me, what God has been telling his people all through the long years, it's all coming true tonight. And into the night, with burning torches and lanterns, with swords and clubs and armor, they came, an army of soldiers. Here they come, an army of soldiers. And Judas led them straight to Jesus so that they would arrest him. Jesus was waiting for them. Peter leapt up and he took a sword and he tried to defend Jesus. He sliced off a guard's ear. Jesus immediately touched the guard and healed him. Peter, he said, this is not the way. Peter didn't realize that no army, no matter how big, could ever arrest Jesus, not unless Jesus let them. Then Jesus, who had never done anything except love people, was arrested, just like he was a criminal. He let himself be arrested. Jesus' friends were afraid, so they ran away and they hid in the shadows. The guards marched Jesus off and they took him to the leaders. The leaders put Jesus on trial. Are you the Son of God? They asked. I am, Jesus said. Who do you think you are to call yourself God? You must die for calling yourself the Son of God. Only the Romans were allowed to kill prisoners, so the leaders made a plan. We'll tell the Romans, this man wants to be our king, and then they will crucify him. But it would be all right, because this was God's plan. It was for this reason that I was born into the world, Jesus said. So this is a rather sad part of the Easter story, isn't it? And the next story that I'm going to read you will also be a little bit sad, but eventually there will be a really, really joyful part of the story. So I hope you'll listen to all the other parts too. Okay. Thank you for listening so well. Bye.
For more of Victoria Carlton's tips, go to YouTube and search Victoria Carlton Programs. Victoria's products are available on Teachers Pay Teachers. They cover literacy, emotional intelligence, and Sunday school lessons. Victoria's website address, blog, and email address are on the screen in front of you. Victoria Carlton reserves the right of copyright on all her products.